joining us for the Tuesday, October 26th Waterboro Board of Selectmen's meeting. If everybody would rise to the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For announcements this evening, let everybody know that we have a flu clinic here at Town Hall. It'll be next Thursday, November 4th, from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. So that's again a flu clinic next Thursday, 2 to 5 here at Town Hall. And also a reminder that next Tuesday is November 2nd, the election day. Polls are going to open at 7 a.m. on Tuesday morning at the Mass Basic Middle School, and they'll be open until 8 p.m. And there's some state and local issues on the ballot. This evening, starting at 6 o'clock, we have an appointment with York County Community Action. We have Brad Bohon that would like to share some information with us about York County Community Action, everything that they do in our community. So good evening, Brad. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I have been traveling around to some of the towns and cities that we provide services to, York County Community Action, and trying to meet with some of the leaders to talk a little bit about our agency and what we're doing in your community. So tonight I have three objectives. One is to reintroduce you to York County Community Action. You know who we are, you know what we do, but our programs grow and expand and move as issues crop up. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about some of the programs that you may not be very familiar with, but I won't belabor them. I won't go into great detail because I can speak for 2 hours about York County Community Action. I'll try to keep it brief. My second objective is to tell you about what we're doing in your community. Some of the things that our programs are doing for the residents of Waterboro. And thirdly, to invite you to help us to do our jobs better. And I'll speak to that at the end of my presentations. First, to tell you who we are. York County Community Action. We are the community action agency that serves all of southern Maine, about 1,000 square miles. We begin in Kittery and we end in Scarborough. We have 29 towns and cities. When I think about York County Community Action, the best way I can describe how big we are and how broad we are and how broad our scope is to mentally close my eyes and then to think of all of the towns and communities and cities where we serve people. So I think of Kittery and York and Wells and Sanford, and then Acton and Alfred, and I move around and I go to Waterboro and Limerick and Leamington and Ogunquit and Biddeford and Saco. And then when I think of all of those different places, I think of them as dots, because my eyes are closed, and I think about how I would weave together those dots, and what I come up with was a net. And so when I think of York County Community Action, I think of us as a net that catches people who are in distress, people who are in danger of losing their homes to foreclosure, or becoming sick and having no place to get medical treatment, or of not having transportation to get to their car, to get to their jobs, to school, to work, or to any place. So York County Community Action is just that. It is a net that tries to catch people who are in danger of falling. We are 7 programs: WIC and Head Start, Housing and Transportation, Energy Services, Community Outreach, and Healthcare. Each one of those programs it defines itself. Transportation, we move people from one location to another. From work or from home to the doctor's office, or to school, or to a job site, or to a shopping place. Transportation, it sounds very simple, but it's very broad. It covers a lot of area. It is our largest program. What I want to do is tell you about one program within each of these programs, because again, I could tell you about the volunteer drivers and the shuttle and my bus and the WAVE program, but I'll talk about one. So, beginning with Head Start. Head Start is we have 17 Head Start locations, one of which is in Waterboro. We serve 270 children. And it is a place for children who are from families of low income to have a safe place to learn and to grow and to interact with other children and to receive a meal, a nutritious meal each day, and to get educational materials. It is the oldest program in transportation. Another program would be WIC, Women, Infants, and Children, which provides prenatal mothers and families with small children who are eligible with coupons, food vouchers, so they can get nutritious foods, vegetables and milk and bread at the grocery store or at vegetable stands. It also supports breastfeeding. It also is affiliated with the WRIF program, Reading is Fundamental, and gives books and reading materials to children to help them learn and to appreciate education. Transportation, I've already spoken a little bit about transportation. One of the programs that I will touch on when I get to my second objective is Volunteer Drivers Program. There are 110 volunteer drivers, and they use their own vehicles to transport York County residents to medical appointments or mental health appointments or dental appointments or foster care appointments. That's really what they do. But they're huge. They use their own vehicles. They get no salary for that. They simply are reimbursed for their mileage and for their tolls. And again, I'll get back to that when I talk about Waterboro, because the numbers there have grown in our volunteer driver program. Community outreach connects people in need with services that are available. And I talk a lot about community outreach when I meet with groups who are being asked to contribute to United Way, because community outreach, when I say connect somebody in need with a service, I think of someone who doesn't have a place to live. We may connect them with York County Shelter. But that's the small stuff. Somebody who may be in danger or who has experienced domestic violence, we may use Caring Unlimited. Our community outreach staff are little libraries of information. There are people who know how to listen, to find out what the issue is, and to connect that person with a solution, with a resolution. One of the programs within the community outreach program is legal access, or access to justice, which provides information and education about different parts of the law for people who may need legal counsel but can't afford it. And it's one of the programs which, every time I do one of these presentations, I find we're doing more and more and more with that program. There are more and more people who need legal counsel or information or direction or guidance, and they're coming to us and asking for help. Energy services, LIHEAP, Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program, very, very busy right now. If you can't heat your home, you're in danger. If you can't heat your home, your family's in danger. If there's anything that keeps us up, it makes us nervous, that keeps us thinking all the time, is that there's somebody we're missing out there who doesn't know that we have a LIHEAP program, who is not calling us, who is going to try to put on another sweater or another coat, another pair of gloves, and get through the winter. So the Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program, for the first time this year, has made access to the appointment calendar online. In the past, you would have to call our Sanford office and schedule an appointment. Now you can go to our website, click on a little link on the left side. It'll bring you to a calendar, and you can schedule your own appointment. You still have to go through the appointment process, but we're making it one step easier for you. Attendant to that, and I will advertise this more broadly, I just got this information on Monday, we will have a LIHEAP representative here on November 18th, December 16th, and January 27th to accept LIHEAP applications and to help people fill those applications out. And again, I will advertise that more broadly once I sit down and actually make the calendar out for all the different towns. Healthcare. We are a federally qualified health center, which means that our clients are necessarily either homeless or living in subsidized housing. That would qualify it, but the qualification is very large, much larger than most people understand. You think of homeless, you think of residents of York County Shelter, but that's not just what homeless is. Homeless could be a college student who's graduated and had to move back home. Or it could be 2 or 3 friends who have had to move together because they can't afford rent. So while it does qualify the number of people we can see, the numbers grow. Also, we are in the process of applying to become a community health center. Now, that changes everything. That would mean that not only would we be allowed to see more people, and not only the people in those categories, we'd be mandated to. We would be required to see a greater number, and we would grow dramatically, significantly. That is in the pipeline. That is a process that's going to take some time, but it is something we're working on now. I think I've covered, except for housing, and that was the one I wanted to leave for last, because housing does a lot of things. But what it really does right now is it works with people who are at risk of foreclosure. I mean, again, I don't want to say that's the only thing we do, but that's where the danger is right now. Maine is number 4 per capita in the nation for foreclosures. There are 11,000 households in York County at risk of foreclosure. We have 2 foreclosure prevention specialists now who will work with homeowners who are at risk and their lenders and the banks and the courts to help them keep their homes. Now, the success rate is this. If there's a family or a homeowner who is at risk of foreclosure who has an income, 50% of the time we can save that home. We can work with the courts and with the lenders to modify the mortgage or the payment that the homeowner is having to make. So that's 1 in 2. If there is no income, there's really not a whole lot we can do. We can do the best we can, but there's only so much that can be done. Foreclosures were large last year. They're going to be much larger this next year. So it is almost a wave, I think of in those terms, because there are, again, 11,000 homes in York County, and I don't know what they would be in Waterboro. The other thing I want to talk about is our neighborhood stabilization program, which is directly here in Waterboro. We have, one of the things I gave you in your packet was one of the homes that the housing program was able to purchase and to rehabilitate, which means to rebuild essentially, and put back on the market. Neighborhood stabilization is just that. It is to stabilize a neighborhood. It is to find a home that has been lost to foreclosure and to prevent it from depreciating the area around it, and to make it available for somebody who can buy it. We've done that with 2 homes, one in Waterboro, one in Sanford. We've got another one in Waterboro that they're looking at now. So I'm very proud of that. I'm proud of the way we were able to do that, and I think our housing program has great reason to feel very happy about being able to do that as well. So my first objective was to tell you about York County Community Action, some of the programs, and I've done that. The second objective is to tell you a little bit about what we're doing in Waterboro, and I just did with the Neighborhood Stabilization Program, but I've given each of you a little matrix here, and it covers a 4-year period. What I had expected to find were trends, and there are some trends here, but there are also numbers that really don't tell me a whole lot. They tell me that there are needs in Waterboro, and I made a few bullets over on the right side to tell you about the legal advocacy, that it has increased, and it seems to be increasing. Energy services LIHEAP each year goes up, and this year we expect it to be at a record number here in Waterboro for the number of people who are eligible and who will apply. Part of our success in this, if I can use that term, is that we are able to tell more and more people about who we are. We are able to get the word out, and that is part of my third objective. The volunteer driver miles jumped by 36,000. And again, volunteer drivers are able to transport people only for 4 reasons. Again, mental appointments, medical appointments, dental appointments, and foster care. So that has shown to be a very good service for your community. The offset to that was the bus, and I really don't know why the bus miles have declined as they have. I don't know, frankly. But this information is simply for you to look at. It'll give you an idea about what we're doing here and how we're serving the residents of your community. My third objective is to ask your help. And there are a couple of ways I could frame this. One would be to ask you to be attendant to those people who you work with and who you go to church with and who are your friends and your neighbors. Because you may not be at risk of foreclosure or at risk of losing your job, but somebody you know is. I read in a newspaper the other day the title of a book that it just sort of stuck with me. It says, "Nothing happens in the world unless it happens or until it happens to you." And so we all have to be mindful of our environment, of the people around us, of how dangerous the climate is right now for our friends, our neighbors, our relatives, and our coworkers, and how insecure a lot of people feel. So what I would invite you to do is this: carry this message forward, to talk about York County Community Action, not just to people you know who are in need, but to people who you may work with. That there is an agency in York County that can help people who are in need. I like to work with the churches, because the churches are little tiny intact communities that go out and they talk. Congregants talk, parishioners talk, and they talk to each other and they talk to other people. And so the word moves forward, sort of like a spider web. The second thing I would ask is for you to let us know what we're not doing. What are the unmet needs in your town? I've told you about our programs, I've told you about our services, but you need to tell us if there's something that you're aware of that we may be able to help with. That's what Debbie Downs and Danielle, the community outreach director and one of the intake workers, that's what they need to know. I can relay this message, I can convey it, but they're the ones who are on the ground, who are listening to the stories and trying to fix the problems. So there are any number of ways that you can reach us, but mostly what I'm asking you is to reach out to the people you know, to tell them. I'll be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Anybody on the board? Questions?
What range, you're talking about helping people with homes, is the income cutoff? Is there a cutoff on income that you can help? Let's say there's a man or woman who's
Yeah.
a single parent and they have a decent job, but they're still having trouble making.
And I couldn't give you a definitive answer on that because every case is different. And it really depends on, we go through a process of mediation where if a homeowner is at risk of foreclosure or is going through foreclosure, can demand to meet with the court and with the lender. And we can get in that process then and act as a mediator. But there's no guarantee ever that the lender is going to agree with us or going to go along with what our requests are. So again, when I met with Chris LaRousse this afternoon, our housing director, he said it's a 50-50 shot. Half the time we're able to save the home. But I can't tell you what the numbers are. I mean, I really don't know.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for your time, and thank you for listening to me.
Well, thank you for coming
Thank
in.
you.
And I think one of the things that we can do so that we can let residents know what York County Community Action has to offer is our selectmen's meetings are available online. So we can make sure that we've got a link on kind of the homepage of our website so that folks, maybe what is York County Community Action, and we could kind of take out at least this piece of the meeting and make it specific so that people understand what services are available out there.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for coming in. Okay, the agenda is the hearing of delegation. We have Rep. Joe Wagner with us here this evening. Joe, do you have anything you'd like to share with us tonight?
Just some noteworthy, that's okay.
Yep.
First off, on my way over here on South Waterboro Road, I came this close to venison. Doe came jumping out, just missed it. Speaking of roads, I had the good fortune of having Mr. John Kennel, who was down here with Commissioner David Cole some time back, and Tim Kusick, also from the Scarborough Office of DOT, to take a look at a couple of particular locations in Waterboro, where Emmylou Lane comes on to Route 5. Residents there having difficulty getting out into traffic because of the speed, visibility, and also the gravel and the roadway as such. And you have to kind of leap out there to get some traction. So the DOT gentleman did not promise an apron by any means, but repairs that will make it a little bit will make it easier for the residents there to get on and off, and possibly some signs to give people a heads up, particularly as they are coming to the boat launch, to the pedestrian crossway, and to Lakeside, to start tacking the speed down. Went over to right across the way here on Townhouse Road, where there was a drainage issue for a particular house, water pooling at the wellhead, and that they will take care of that, trying to channel it between that property and the adjacent household. We went down Old Alfred Road, and I spoke to them about the concerns of the residents there, particularly in terms of the weight of the trucks, the speed of the trucks, and what it's doing to the foundations and the joists of their homes. Went over to a residence on Route 202 that has had some flooding issues. The residents attributing it to a culvert that is undersized going under 202. The DOT fellows had a hydrology study just a couple months of age that indicates that the water is emanating elsewhere. For the residents who've been there for decades, no different. So, still in the course of negotiation there, I asked them if they could revisit the hydrology study to see if there's the possibility of the water is draining off their property, coming around down to that culvert, swamping it, and coming back. We'll see if they will give that some consideration. Went farther on down 202 to 1066 and 1070 Main Street. In both cases, visibility and speed being issues for the folks getting in and out of there. And also, they're going to check to see whether or not a particular portion of property was indeed conveyed to the residents of 1066. There's some issue there, some question there. If it's still DOT's property, then there's a culvert sitting there that's been sitting there for some time. If it's still their responsibility, then something should be done about that. It has been touched for years. I asked them about a request from another constituent for a crosswalk up at the Baptist Church where West Road meets Newfield. And they said that's something that I have to check with another DOT official on, Mr. Keyser, and may necessitate a request from the town for the crosswalk signs to be placed and the roadway to be painted. But I haven't gotten a call back on that yet. As they were leaving, I know this is an alignment issue, but I asked them to follow me over to Route 111, went down the South Waterboro Road, you get past Clarkswood and Causeway, past Tibbetts Farm, you start going downhill, and I've noticed time and again some erosion. Another block culvert right at the base of that section of the roadway. Got out, stopped, looked around, and they were quite concerned about that because it is eating away the road. So that is on their radar, and we went down Kennebunk Pond Road, took it nice and slow. I hit every bump that I could. They were right behind me, and particularly pointed out those areas right by Lyman Elementary that are particularly in deteriorated shape. So, no guarantees that's going to mean anything soon, but at least it's on the radar, and they've come, they've seen, and hopefully we'll take some action on some of those. Sure.
Why is it a surprise there? I mean, there's a DOT crew
Yes.
that has responsibility for some section or some, okay, it might be greater today than it used to be because of reduction in workforce or whatnot, but I just find it somewhat appalling that they would have to have a state rep drive them around a state aid road to show them where the problems are.
All I can say is that, not apologizing, not excusing, but there's a whole lot of roadway out there.
Yep.
And for them to have a familiarity with the extension
Well, I
of
don't
arteries
expect
that
the
we
guys in
have.
Augusta to,
Mhm.
but the local guys
Yeah.
ought to know everything.
Well, these two local guys work out of Scarborough. One lives in Reedfield, the other one lives in Gardner.
Yeah.
So, and, you know, again, not to excuse,
But
but,
there's a state garage
Yeah.
over in Alfred,
that,
right?
that there is.
Used to be one that was manned pretty heavy down here at the corner of 202 and 5. And there are crews that work out of there. Does anybody drive other than the main roads?
Again, all I could say is that, I'll do what's necessary
That should
to
be
get their attention.
Be a nice
to-
question for Commissioner Cole, I guess.
Gordon?
Yeah, concerning the issue on 202 with the flooding.
Yes.
I assume regarding that culvert.
Mhm.
They can't say that they didn't know about that because we were called during that last extensive rainstorm. I went down there and took quite a number of photos, which would be available to you if you want them, but we also had a call placed to DOT at that particular time because there was substantial water in that area.
Yeah.
And that culvert just could not handle the flow.
No.
In fact, it went over to the Hamilton Road as well,
Yes, it did.
and there was issues over there.
Well, I had photographs on hand that I had taken at that time as well. Showed them directly. Here's that house that we're looking at right now, an island. So,
Fred's got a question too.
Hey, Fred.
Lydia.
Well,
Fred was with us.
you know yourself, that's a 32-inch culvert down there.
Mhm.
And there's no reason in the world they can't put another 32-inch culvert beside of that one, and it would take care of that water. Now, when them guys stood down there yesterday and told he and I that, well, that water, you know, Joe, this, all this and that, bull crap. Common sense, you got the pictures, right? And if you had two culverts there, that water would have been down.
And we're not talking ledge, are we?
No, it's not, how much of a job is it?
We keep on
It don't make sense.
plugging away.
And I agree with Wendell, man. I mean, they're
Yep.
getting that water, and I agree with you when you said you took pictures. The best picture in the world is to put it on the front page of the Polar Best Hell and say, this is what the state does for us.
David, John, any questions?
No.
All right, thank
Thank
you,
you.
Jeff. Okay, correspondence. This week we have, we had asked the planning board for recommendation on the growth management ordinance. We have a recommendation from them, so we'll put that on the agenda next week for discussion. And we also have a letter on an abatement request from Jerry Daigle, so we'll have that on our agenda for discussion next week as well. Also this week, something that's not listed on the agenda but I wanted to bring up is an event going on called Harvest of Resources, which is sponsored by the Sanford Veterans Association. And this is a resource fair for Maine veterans, military veterans and their families. It's going to be held at the Nassen College Center in Springvale on November 7th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. It's a free event, and they're going to have 30 vendors from educational experts, employment specialists, healthcare providers, legal advice, financial assistance, and more. Events going on for all ages, guest speakers, free admission, light, and refreshments. So what this is it's a resource fair for military and veterans to go in and get some information about some services you may not realize are available for you. And David, could you put that flyer up on the town website? Okay, great. Moving on to reports, the town administrator's report. Nancy's quite busy with absentee ballots today. Under Selectmen's reports, I'll start. I had a couple things. First of all, Economic Development Committee meeting last week. If you come into town from South Waterboro, you'll notice over by the Alfred Waterboro Veterinary Clinic, one of the new signs is up. It looks great. Chris Bennett, Leo Bennett, Roger Lozier, and Doug Foglio put that in on Saturday. It took them about 6 hours. They did hit some ledge and a few issues getting it in, but they got it in. Definitely want to thank Woodsome's Feed and Needs. They donated all of the floral that's around the sign, and Foglio Excavation donated all of the equipment as well as some loom and wood chips to get that sign finished. There are 2 more large signs that need to be installed. They'll be getting those done within the next couple of weeks. And the 3 smaller signs that are being installed are at Mad Dog. Signs right now being finished. We'll hopefully have those within a couple of weeks, but the goal is to have the other 5 remaining signs out within the next 30 days. One of the topics at the EDC meeting was that the committee would like to get on the agenda for the board's November workshop. And what they're looking to do is use that as a springboard for some conversation about what the EDC wants to do moving forward, and they want some input from all of the board. They're looking for things like what would all of the board members like to see from the EDC committee in the future, what's the board's future vision of our town, potential business growth, both positives, negatives, maybe discussing an industrial park and looking at working towards something like that within town. So they'd like to be on our November workshop agenda for that discussion. Other selectmen's reports?
I've got a couple things.
Gordon?
I'd like to thank the chair of the Finance Committee for bringing to the board's attention some unclaimed property that the state has. It's not what I'd consider a significant amount, but any amount in this economic climate can be termed significant. This was about approximately $300 that is coming to the town of Waterboro. And I might also encourage some Waterboro residents to also check into that. It's under the main.gov site for unclaimed property, because when I was